Hey everybody, I'm Mikael, designer, author, and host of the global documentary series about urbanism, The Life-Size City. This here is the YouTube channel for the series. But hey, how you doing? It's been a while. I was super busy with work in 2021. I hope you've been keeping out of trouble yourself. But firstly, before we get stuck into this episode I want to show you today, how about a quick little update about all the things that I've been getting up to. My new little TV series about urbanism in Denmark called Gadekamp, which means street fight, premiered back in September 2021. You can see all 6 episodes here in Denmark online. There's a link in the description. Unfortunately, there are no subtitles as of yet, so you're gonna have to get cracking on your Duolingo. There are loads of uploads on the Life-Size City Urbanism podcast. I've been bouncing around in 2021 and I have interviews with the Vice Mayor of Helsinki, an amazing visionary woman, the Chief Head of Design for the City of Helsinki. There are episodes about democratic design, cycling in Paris, the science of greening our cities, and even stuff like the erotic city. Ooh. And over the past year, I've been working on sort of more of a personal podcast, 100 Things I'll Miss When I'm Dead. I'm still in the middle of producing that one, and it is a fun ride. Both of the podcasts are available wherever you get your damn podcasts. Over the past year, I was in Copenhagen, Amsterdam, Helsinki, and Paris filming interviews for the new website, citychangers.org. You really got to check it out. It is a new go-to resource for the urbanism industry with loads of great inspiration to be found. I'm also working on my next TV series called Urban Origins. More about that will be revealed as we move along, but I can tell you I am super pumped and excited about it. My exhibition about Danish urban design opened at the Danish Cultural Center in Paris back in June 2021. It is called Au Vélo Citoyen, which means To Your Bikes, Citizens, all about how to design properly a city for bikes. I had been working on that for such a long time, so it was so amazing to finally get it out there. I even slapped a Copenhagen cyclist garbage can that we have all over the city here in Copenhagen and Frederiksberg right on the Champs-Élysées. The exhibition traveled to Caen in Normandy, and it will be showing up in other French cities this year in 2022. Link in the description. One of the links about it is in French, and if you understand French, there is a really cool interview with some people about cycling in Paris, including the Vice Mayor of Paris, David Belliard. Super cool guy. Then there is this thing that I have been calling for a few years, life-sized travel. This is going to be something I'm going to be focusing on a lot this year. In the 3 seasons so far of The Life-Size City, I explore urbanism, of course, obviously. But one segment in the season 3 episode from Barcelona is about tourism, or rather, over-tourism, and its impact on urbanism. I was back in Barcelona in December 21, and I can tell you, man, yeah, things have changed a lot. The pandemic has, of course, impacted so many aspects of our lives. I've been interviewed constantly over the past year and a half about post-pandemic cities. What are they going to look like? And already now we can see patterns emerging. But what about travel and tourism? That industry has been hit so hard. And with our increasing focus on the environment and sustainability, there are going to be some serious changes to that industry once we get out of this pandemic. I'm still trying to get my head wrapped around all that. Post-pandemic travel patterns have obviously yet to emerge, but all signs indicate that they will change drastically. But how? This segment you're about to see was filmed pre-pandemic in Barcelona, but it really highlights how destructive over-tourism was and could be again if we don't start thinking differently about the impact of it on our cities. Let's do this.
Spaces like this that are safe and accessible, where I can actually bring my daughter and feel a sense of community. Well, that used to be the norm here. The historic center was once a very life-size district as well. That is until tourism hit like few other places in the world. In 1990, 1.7 million tourists visited the city. Great. In 2017, are you ready for this? That figure was 32 million. Roughly 20 times the local population. It's more than the annual number of tourists that visit Greece. Barcelona was recently named the most polluted port in Europe, with the highest amount of pollutants coming from cruise ships.
In Barcelona, the increase of tourism in the last 20 years it was absolutely crazy, exponential. And it changed all the way of living in the center, all the shops, all the housing conditions, a lot of aspects that made the life really harder for the people living in.
Martí Cuso is a member of the Assembly of Neighborhoods for Sustainable Tourism, the ABTS. It was established in 2015 after a year of major protests against the negative impacts of tourism on Barcelonian society. What was it like growing up in this neighborhood?
This is my mother.
That's your mother. Hola. Bon dia. Bon dia. Oh, sorry.
How are you?
How many generations of your family grew up
My
here?
family, 4 generations.
4, right here in this neighborhood here.
Yes, in this neighborhood, not far from here, and in the St. James Square.
Okay, yeah.
Nice to meet you.
And you? Pleasure.
You continue.
Thank you.
Continue.
Adeo.
Bye.
It was a good childhood, actually. I usually play in the street, or with my friends, do normal life as in any other neighborhood.
So it was a real neighborhood. It wasn't
Yeah,
so
as in any other
touristy then.
city, as in another neighborhood. But of course now it's not as easy for the children of the neighborhood to play in the streets because of our crowding, massification, public space occupation by private companies and private operations. It's difficult now for the children to have a normal life here. This is the school when I was a child.
This is your school?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
The interesting thing about this school is that the playground used by the children of the school is the public space, is the square
Right,
in
okay.
itself. Okay?
So what are the barriers for?
Yeah, exactly. The barriers are to avoid tourists, to invade the space
Really?
for children. Yeah.
Where do you go from here, you know?
Yeah, exactly. This is a desperate solution. We think it's not a good solution at all. I mean, it's maybe a needed solution at the moment. The massification is such that children, they cannot play in the street. But of course, in the long term, we prefer solutions that go to the root of the problem.
Because of the massive number of tourists, the citizens of Barcelona are having a hard time gaining access to their own city. The streets are packed, parks and squares are full, restaurants are overbooked, local bars rapidly become tourist hangouts. Outsiders, to put it simply, are posing a serious threat to the social fabric of this city.
We think the problem in Barcelona is not the kind of tourism we receive, but the number of tourists we receive and the weight tourism has on the economy of the city. This is a real problem for Barcelona.
Right.
Of course, we have a lot of tourists going here for different things. We have many kinds of tourism here in Barcelona, but if you come here, for example, to see museums, you are also having a negative effect on overcrowding public space, overcrowding transportation, polluting the air if you go with cruise ships or with plane. You are staying into Airbnbs or into hotels that were previously homes of people. So the effects are everywhere in any kind of tourism we receive.
Right.
What they say is they create jobs, they create money for the economy, etc. But we should ask them, where is this money going to? Hotel companies, for example, they are having big benefits from tourism, but they are not socializing, they are not spreading this benefit to public and social benefits. For instance, they are paying the worst salaries in Barcelona now. And they are gaining a lot of money.
So they make the most money and they spend the least on the citizens and the workers.
Exactly.
Depending on where you stay in Barcelona, you're charged a tourism tax that ranges from 65 cents to over €2 per night. And that is set to increase. For now, that generates roughly €30 million a year in revenue. Now, you'd think the city would invest that money into its infrastructure, better housing, and maybe reducing pollution. But nope, it all just goes straight back into promoting tourism in a city that really doesn't need any help attracting visitors. But its activists are finally speaking out on how that revenue should be spent. Martí, you have 30 million tourists a year here. I'm trying to figure out, I get what you're saying, man, but how do you get that number down?
We have to tackle the tourism industry. That is the responsibles, that they are the responsibles of the negative effects we are having right now. This means, for example, making hotels to pay many more taxes they are paying now, to socialize their money. Make urban planning to stop hotel industry from growing anymore in Barcelona. Hotel industry, apartments, Airbnb, cruise ships, we can control this, we can put the limits.
There are very specific points that tourists go to. What about pushing them, spreading it out?
They don't want to reduce the tourism in the center. and put it into other place. They want to keep the same tourism amount in the center and increase in other areas that are not touristified yet. A focus in the center. Pardon, my family again.
Hola, ¿qué tal?
This is my aunt.
So it's maybe not so surprising to see them in your neighborhood, but it's surprising to be able to spot them among all the tourists. That's probably
Exactly.
more of a challenge
That's
to
the community
recognize
life
your
I
friends.
told about.
Yeah, right.
Before.
Cool. So do you ever think about moving?
No,
No?
or at least not yet. No.
All right.
Okay, so some Barcelonians, some friends of mine that don't live here, they say me, okay, you're crazy to live there. But that's because, as I said, we have a big community of people living here, and I feel comfortable here, but I feel with the need of fighting against these problems.
Yeah.
Because I see this is affecting the life of the people, and this is making a lot of people from my community to leave, and I don't want to, so. I think with ABTS, we raised the awareness of people with this problem 4 years ago. We started to demonstrate, to do a lot of actions, to make people be aware of these problems. And now tourism is one of the first problems of the population in Barcelona, according to polls from the city council. So the problem is here. We only need politicians to act.